The Golden Knights embark on a 5-game road swing, but first, a stop at the White House. We have all the deets coming up next right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We appreciate you doing so. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. And please make sure to check out the YouTube channel that is Locked On Golden Knights. So, Chris, VGK is going to be visiting the White House today, and then they play 5 straight road games, including the one in the nation's capital coming up against the Capitals tomorrow night, and then at Montreal, and then Philly and Pittsburgh back to back, and then they wind up in Dallas. So do we have a total points guess for this upcoming trip? I would guess about 5 and a hook.
I mean, if we're going to go over under, the way VGK fans are probably going to bet, you'll probably start at 5.5 and money will flood in on the over. So you'll probably have to juice it to 6 with depending on how the bets come in, maybe move the return a little bit, if you will. But 5.5 is a good spot, and I actually think it'll go under.
I think it might go under as well. So they're going to be playing teams. So you look at the Caps, 7-4-2. Montreal, 7-6-2. All these sevens. You've got Pittsburgh. You got Philly, 7-7-1. Pittsburgh, 7-6-0. And the only really good team would be Dallas, perhaps, with 10 wins already on top of the Central, 10-3-1. And that's a total of 38-26-6. Do you see any issues? What do you think the difficult spot would be? The back-to-back Philly-Pittsburgh?
I think the Caps game is probably the most difficult spot. You got the team acclimating from the time zones. You have everything happening today in the White House. That's going to definitely be different than the norm as far as how the team spends a day, whether it's at home or on the road. Just first game after the road trip was always a weird game. It's always a tough game. And then the back-to-back scenario, yeah, I'm with you. And honestly, by the time Dallas comes up next Wednesday, that's nearly a week and a half, 10 days later, team's going to be tired of being on the road by that point. They're going to want to get home, and they end the road trip against the toughest team. So I think the toughest 2 spots are the beginning, Tuesday's game against Washington, and then the following Wednesday's game against Dallas.
Any idea who is going to be speaking at the White House today? Will it be William Karlsson, 4 scores and 7 years ago? Something.
I mean, the points leader of the team should be the one that speaks, right?
Oh, wow. No, do we have any idea? Obviously, it should be Cassidy. I don't know if McCrimmon's going to show up there. I mean, he'll be there. Foley, does Bill Foley go? And then, okay, so Cassidy also said, right, that Riley Smith might be joining the team at the White House, which I think is really cool. But what about Larry Brossoit? I mean, did he get an invitation? Did Phil Kessel get the invite? Because I would think that he would want to check up on his Ironman streak and make sure that that is firmly placed in the Smithsonian.
That's pretty funny. I'm curious about the Jets. Let me see if they have a game. Jets don't play
it's tomorrow.
Tonight. The Jets' next game is going to be in Winnipeg on Tuesday night. So, I mean, It wouldn't be out of the realm for him to make the trip down. Yeah. Kessel, I don't know. I don't know if Kessel cares, honestly, but it's not a bad thing if he does or doesn't. I just don't think it might be that important of a spot to him. I could be totally wrong. Kessel might show up and have a good time with the boys again. Nice reunion. But I mean, I think the sound clip of the night came actually from our buddy Carp, of course. So Carp's talking to Martinez about asking him his thoughts about going to the White House and everything. Love him. And Martinez said there's been a lot of Forrest Gump references circulating around the room, and Martinez just said he doesn't want to be the one that drops his drawers and accidentally shows Biden his butt. But then obviously he went on. Like, that wasn't a negative about Biden. That was simply the Forrest Gump reference and all that when he got shot in the butt. And you guys just know what I'm talking about there. But
we know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but Martinez did go on to say, it doesn't matter what side of the island that you're on. It's an amazing experience to get to go there.
That's very
and
true.
All of that. So Martinez is one of the 3 Americans on the team, I believe. So there you go.
Okay, a thought occurred to me. So because the Vegas Golden Knights are taking the entire team to the White House today, right? Do you think that they might have gotten in an extra skate and now they have all these players there, right, that are injured, might be coming back, what have you? So you take everyone there, so a complete roster. And so what are the possibilities of seeing, Chandler Stevenson, is he okay? Nick Waugh, Nick Hague, are they close? And do you sneak in a skate there at the nation's capital?
They'll skate tomorrow, definitely. I don't know if they're going to. They're not going to skate. They're not going to skate today, but I think maybe they're going to skate after the trip to the White House. But I think that'd be kind of strange. You never know. But they'll definitely be on the ice tomorrow, Tuesday. There was no localized practices that media had access to if the team did do anything over the weekend, because they traveled on Sunday, so you would. I don't know. I didn't see if the team had a skate on Saturday or anything like that, but. As far as reinforcements, we know Nick Waugh is skating. I can't recall if Hague is skating or not. I forgot if Cassidy mentioned that. Stevenson is strange, right? Stevenson, it was maintenance day. It was, we'll have him in practice. He'll be in tomorrow's lineup. It was, he got some bumps and bruises, and all of a sudden he's going to miss the next 2 games. And I could be totally off on this, but I feel like a reference was made where it was like, well, the we'll see reference if Cassidy is going to be able to get Stevenson back on the ice on the early side of this road trip. So this isn't a Golden Knights or a Cassidy thing. This is simply the verbal warfare, if you will, among teams trying to cautiously, not necessarily say what's happening exactly. Although Cassidy did basically, when I asked him Friday after the win against the Sharks about what the goalie rotation, how the plan was going, and Cassidy basically spilled the beans on the entire plan for the next 2 weeks. So that was kind of cool. So, what
was the plan? What was the plan?
So the plan for the goalies, as I saw it, the reason that Hill went for the 2 games in a row, some of the old vibe to go against his old team in the San Jose Sharks. So to quote Cassidy there's a little bit of that going on. Number one, you want to get Hill into a rhythm. But now the concern is the other guy. Yes, we have another guy reference. The concern is the amount of time the other guy goes between games. So if I had to handicap which goalies are going to go win on this road trip, it's going to start with Logan Thompson. Because otherwise, if Logan doesn't go, you're looking at his last start being November the 5th and then not going until November the 16th. That's way too long for what is a true tandem. Yes, Hill is a starter at a 60-40 clip, but it is a true tandem. I want to be clear about this. So Washington, Thompson, Canadians, Hill, Philly, Thompson, Penguins, Hill. So Cassie did say they're going to chop up the first 4 games of the trip. The 4 games of the week is the way he said it. And then Cassidy went on to say which goalie goes against Dallas and Arizona. That's certainly going to be important as well. I will feel very confident in handicapping that Hill's going to go against Dallas and Logan will get the first start back on the first game after the dreaded road trip. Those games are always the worst. Teams always struggle first game back after a long road trip. The Golden Knights are going to be like a minus 280 favorites, and it's not going to be a pretty game. I'm not saying they're going to lose. It ain't going to be a pretty game, though.
Coming up next, the Oilers finally firing their head coach, Jay Woodcroft, after a 3-9-1 start. Oh, yeah.
I called it in May.
I know. And VGK broke him. They absolutely broke him. How do you fire a coach after a win, though? We get into all this next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and much, much more. Whether you are into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, 122 million parts to choose from for your ride or die, you will always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the most valuable player and bring home the win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back. Locked On Golden Knights, this Monday edition. And don't forget, on Fridays, we've got What the Friday. On Saturdays, the YouTube exclusive with Chris and Chris. It is F1 week. And Chris, did you get a chance to drive on the track? What was that experience like?
We did. I mean, it's as exciting as it is upsetting, I think. You're driving down Colville and you got bleachers everywhere. You're driving down the strip, and what happened to the fountains, you know? I mean, I get all the hoopla and exciting. And one clarification I do want to offer, I guess there is somewhere built into this F1 deal where $25 million is going to our schools. My question, is that like a per year thing? Because if it's bringing in whatever billion it is, 25 million seems like a drop in the bucket on a yearly basis. So is that like one lump $25 million for the schools over 10 years? Are they getting $2.5 million for 10? I don't know, but at least there is something helping our schools that desperately are in need of funding. But back to the drive, I mean, like we drove one of those temporary bridges that goes over like Colville and Harmon, or Colville and Harmon over there. Paradise.
Oh, is there one seriously at Colville and Harmon? How do you get across?
Colville and Paradise.
But there's none at Colville and Harmon? How do you get across?
Because that's the actual where the track makes a turn right there. So they didn't do one right there. There's a couple bridges around the strip. There's one that goes like behind like Bally's, Paris, Planet Hollywood, that goes over as well over there too. So that would be Harmon and the monorail. Like it's literally right next to the monorail right there where the monorail crosses. So it's
okay.
Our city looks a little different.
We need to cross Harmon right there. Okay. On Colville and Harmon. For my clients, we're doing a little pre-planning here to get to that area with the start-finish line across the street. So do you just walk across the street?
I think so. I don't know. I'm thinking about going rogue on Saturday night. I'm actually thinking about parking somewhere and trying to get after the kids go down, coming down to the strip and just challenging myself to find a view of the race. And kind of laughing at all these people spending $2,000 a ticket, or it's down to $700. I saw this morning, like a year ago, $2,000. Now it's down to $700. So
right, what a joke. Because I have clients that spent all that money early on as well. Okay,
F1
with the F1 Sunday, the Edmonton Oilers firing head coach Jay Woodcroft and assistant coach Dave Manson. That puts an end to, I think, and you as well, I'm sure, a horrible experiment. And we know that the players definitely did not like him. We thought that he was a knucklehead, and he's going to be replaced by Chris Knobloch. And he's the former head coach of another AHL. This is a good thing that they're hiring another AHL coach. So Knobloch comes from the AHL Hartford Wolfpack. He was also an assistant, however, in Philly. And I know that you were very critical, I was as well, of the coaching of Woodcroft, beginning with not going with Jack Campbell. I know that. Now in the minors, does he return? All sorts of issues there when they played the VGK in the playoffs.
Where do we start? Evander Kane had more time on ice than McDavid in the elimination game. I think you start there. Let's give Woodcroft some flowers, first of all, here before.
No. I'm not giving him any flowers for him saying that McDavid was outplayed by Wild Bill.
He was outplayed by
You're throwing your own player under the bus. That was
from that perspective, yes. No, there's time and place to be honest. Right?
And he didn't put that team in the right place. Come on.
No. I'm with you. But we have to acknowledge, I'm going to acknowledge, I don't care if you do or not, but I'm going to acknowledge that the Oilers had their best 2 finishes in the McDavid Draisaitl era, pardon me, under Woodcroft. They did make it to the conference final, lost to the Avs, made it to the second round, lost to the Golden Knights. They lost to a pair of Stanley Cup champions. So something somewhere was working. Now that's where I'm done saying anything positive. Did this happen as a result, or maybe despite Woodcroft? Was just this team too good, and it didn't matter who the coach was. They were going to make a couple of okay runs, and then obviously falter when the cards were on the table, so to speak. So, I mean, I talked about this in May. We talked about this on the podcast. A pretty big article that David Staples wrote in the Edmonton Journal, and I think he wanted basically to use our podcast as his personal way to blast Woodcroft, if you had to ask me why he did it. But basically the quote was, Vegas commentator blasts Woodcroft. And then Staples went on to credit me for saying I didn't think that Woodcroft was ready, and blah, 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 blah.
I thought he said
That's
something to the effect that commentator and the other guy were saying that.
You did have they did mention you by name, so you were not the other guy. There was 2 articles that Staples did. The first one mentioned
my name
you,
was mentioned.
Yeah, your name was mentioned.
I got ink in Canada.
You got about ink. But so shifting gears, I mean, I don't understand. Like Woodcroft gets the win. He gets to go through the weekend. Obviously, this decision was made beforehand. And I'm reading a little bit, I guess Woodcroft only held like a 19-minute practice on Saturday, spent most of the practice kind of reminiscing with the team, did a different type of media scrum where he basically spent most of it blasting Mark Spector, who's basically one of the lead beat writers for the Oilers and stuff like that. And it was interesting, but looking to the future here. Okay. So last thing here, Edmonton hires Woodcroft out of Bakersfield, their AHL affiliate. Woodcroft did win the championship, the Calder Cup in 2020-21, so give him credit for doing that. And then he comes in the middle of the 21-22 season. The Oilers make it to the conference final. No NHL experience. He'd been an assistant. He was a video guy back in 05-06 and assistant with the Sharks and the Oilers. So, okay, fine. He's got some experience. He worked his way up. Cool, fine, whatever. Let's talk about Chris Knobloch for a second, okay? WHL assistant, OHL head coach, won a championship. Good for him. Assistant in Philadelphia, the AHL coach of the Hartford Wolfpack.
You almost said Whalers.
What's that?
You almost said Whalers, but
I almost did say Whalers.
Cool.
That would have been pretty cool. So now
reminiscing, yeah,
right, exactly. So now the Oilers have another coach who has 0 games of experience running an NHL bench. To make it more interesting, Chris Knobloch was one of McDavid's former juniors coaches. So there's that connection there, which is interesting. And, you know, I don't know. I don't think they got the next person right. I don't. I mean, what does Knobloch know?
An interim coach, head coach. I mean, they locked it down, right?
There's a lot of coaches know what the announcement officially was. If this wasn't an interim
new
basis.
Head coach. I thought it said new head coach.
So, I mean, what did they learn about the Woodcroft experience? The answer is nothing. And maybe Knobloch is the guy. Maybe Knobloch's going to right the ship and Oilers are going to go deep into the playoffs and figure it out. Just maybe. But, like, I don't know. Someone posted something on Twitter. Why is who's the GM? Why am I drawing a blank on the GM's name?
Holland? Right, Ken Holland?
Yeah, why is Ken Holland still there? And I answered with, well, poop rolls downhill, and he's still on the top of that hill right now, but his hill is definitely shrinking a little bit. And I think if the Oilers don't at least win one playoff series, Holland is going to be out after the year as well. And they may even win a playoff series and still be out. Holland, that is.
Okay, so Paul Coffey named an assistant.
That's pretty cool.
The Oiler great. That was pretty interesting.
Dave Manson was an assistant too. So what? Like, I don't know what the difference is in those two as far as from a coaching side. I don't know.
I know. I just recall that you said that Woodcroft tried to outsmart himself. And I just thought that was his style. You know, he just tried to be too much. I don't quite know what the method to the madness was. I was really disappointed at the way that he coached in the playoffs against the VGK, because I thought that had potential to be like an unbelievably great series.
It was
I
a
really
good
did.
series.
It was
Like
a
it
good
was up
series.
and back and all
Right.
that. Like
There was a
Edmonton
lot of
didn't
drama.
play
It's fun.
bad.
Yeah. But I thought it could have been one that we remembered for a long time, because of the star power and everything else.
No, you're definitely on the money on that perspective. And to start with my quote about the series, and this isn't just the Vegas Edmonton series, this is about any playoff series that I look at it, whether I'm going to make a bet or just think about who I think is going to win. Give me the best coach, give me the best goaltender, and then we'll figure it out from there. But more times than not, if I'm going to check column A for, this team having both the best coach and the best goaltender of a series, that team's probably going to win more times than they're going to lose. And well, the Golden Knights did have, because the matchup was technically Brossoit versus Skinner / Campbell, and Brossoit got a little bit of the check, but not a big part, because Brossoit at the time, like, he was playing well, but he's the third goalie in line, so you can maybe split hairs on that one for a second there, but that's where obviously Cassidy's NHL experience at being in the playoffs, being in the Stanley Cup final back in his Boston days, like, it didn't seem that out of reach. But Edmonton had a lead when the series was tied in that game 5, and then it was done from there. So coaching.
I
don't think they got the right guy.
He lost the players. And at the start of this season, early on, remember Evander Kane saying, hey, I went out there and got some penalty minutes because that's the only way that I could participate with this team, because they weren't playing me substantial minutes. McDavid's been oft injured. I don't know what his status is right now.
I don't think he's anywhere near 100% personally.
Yeah, it doesn't look to be. And then, Draisaitl and the media there tried to get him to throw Skinner, right? Was it Skinner under the bus?
I don't know. I can't remember the exact. I think you're referencing the interview on Thursday that we were both kind of watching. But Draisaitl, he's just like, there's one thing about Edmonton that does bother me, and it's their lack of depth. And I don't mean because they're not getting the right depth players, but when you get to spend 7 or 8 consecutive months around McDavid and Draisaitl, like, that should do something for the third and fourth liners and the role players. So I wonder if there's something we're going to deflect from Woodcroft. Because, listen, this is what, the third or fourth coach in this era right now or something like that? It's just ridiculous. So you wonder what McDavid is about, his leadership abilities, besides just putting up 150 points, because that's not enough in the NHL. It is not enough to be an elite scorer and expect to win a Stanley Cup. You have to be a leader, period. End of story. Is McDavid a leader? I don't know.
And you still do believe that we are going to hear from the Oilers? Do you still believe that? Coming up next for them, today they're at home, next 2 games at home, Islanders and Kraken. But do you still feel that that we're going to hear from them in the end?
It's selfish, maybe, because I think McDavid is the best player in the universe and might be the best player ever. End of story. Even better than Gretzky, but that may not ever be a discussion if he can't win. Start with 1 Stanley Cup before we talk about 2, 3, and 4. But I think it's good for the NHL if McDavid gets going. But I joked, I don't know, sometime in the spring, who's going to win a cup first, McDavid or Bedard? And obviously the Blackhawks got a long way to go, but I like their path better than Edmonton's right now. Edmonton just pressed the reset button again for the 4th or 5th time in the McDavid era. That's not good for hockey. Like, I know Vegas fans love laughing at what's happening up there, and I get it, and so do I to a degree. But at the end of the day, McDavid doing well is good for the NHL. It's unfortunate that hopefully the Golden Knights are going to be the ones to put the nail in the coffin every year for him. They drove the nail in the coffin for not just last season, but this season as well.
Coming up next, we look back at Friday's VGK shutout win over the San Jose Sharks. Seems like
so long ago. So long ago.
A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. I still say Jack Eichel could score 50 goals. I think he's going to go on a heater, or as my friends from New York were saying all weekend, heater. VGK could hoist the Stanley Cup again. That could be fun. And, of course, you could play daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. It's the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. and Locked On Golden Knights. Sleeper is our #1 choice for daily fantasy points and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. That's right, and entries can be made in just under 1 minute. And all you have to do is pick some of the superstars of the game, like Artemi Panarin. I got a Ranger reference in there for you.
He's doing
Pedersen.
great. He's doing
Pedersen's got 25 points. I think Panarin's got 24, last I checked.
Future Golden.
Connor Bedard, we'll give you a little shout out there, Chicago. Of course, you have to just try to figure out if they will record more or less than their sleeper projections that come out every day for things like goals, for assists, for saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8-player stats. You heard us, VGK fans. You could win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleepers. So start paying attention, nail your picks, and you can start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you will get up to $100 match on your first deposit, and terms and conditions apply. Once again, go to the Sleeper app and use the code LOCKEDONNHL. Welcome back. Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco and Senor Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. Thank you so much. And make sure to check out the YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. I was at the Senor because I was with a group last night that I was hosting from Mexico at El Raiders, El Jets game. I had to have an interpreter. I did, because I had no idea. No, seriously, no clue what they were saying, but it was
it wasn't anything good about the football game, I can assure you that.
I didn't catch most of the game because I was making sure that they were all happy. That's what you do, right, when you host folks.
It's a good thing you didn't catch the game. It was terrible. Raiders give the Raiders a banner. They won 2. They beat the Jets and the Giants. Hang a banner. Hang a banner.
At the end of the game, it was really fun, though, because it was a good ending to the game. You have to admit that.
Sure, so the Raiders threw on 3rd down instead of running another play. I mean, why? Why, Tony Cardasco? Why?
Okay, so this group, they do not speak a word of English. Okay, I was like, I said, "Me llama." They go gringo, of course. They're looking at me. I go, "Me llama es Antonio." And they go, "Oh,
Your name is Tony." Okay.
Antonio. But this group doesn't speak a word of English, right? We come back, and one of the guys, has his music, and we patch it into the limo, and everyone's singing along with "This Girl Is on Fire." The entire group is singing. Just fun. Okay.
The drinks flowing, having a good time?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Were they ever? Because I was just running to go get them drinks and food, and my interpreter, we were running around, but it was a good time. So that was so much fun last night, and now it's on to more fun this week with F1 and a group coming in for that. That's another story here. Oh, we're doing a show today. That's right. Okay, Friday, long time ago, 5-0 VGK over the Sharks. Sharks back to being sucky, if you will. 2 goals in that game for our boy when Carlson scored. Our guy from Locked On Sharks he even joined the scrum.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
They probably blocked me by now.
I guess I'm supposed to tag at Tony Dasco on Twitter. In any event, 2 goals for the blue liner, Alec Martinez, 20 saves along the way, and a donut for Aiden Hill. What happened to the donut promotion, for crying out loud?
It was almost the immaculate food night. So here's
you're saying immaculate. Cassidy's gonna like that shout out. He'll like that.
Like it. So, but here's the immaculate food night. Okay, Golden Knights get a goal in the first period. Free fries from McDonald's. Okay, fine, that's cool. Golden Knights get 2 goals in any period. Free tacos from Taco Bell. Golden Knights win a hockey game. You get 31% off of Pizza Huts the next day. And then it used to be Krispy Kreme. If they got a shutouts, you could take your stub to get Krispy Kreme the next day, a free dozen. So it would have been the quad box, right? It would have been the the immaculate food day if they still had the donut promotion. But I mean, it's not a hockey game. Like, I don't know, the Sharks, it's whatever they're doing. I guess this is part of the plan. So that's about my observation on the game. But what I will say is teams really got to rethink the strategy about bringing their parents to the games. So the Avalanche moms come, McKinnon and Makar up all night playing penny slots, and obviously bingo, and then they get shut out 7-0 in Vegas. That's unfortunate. Here come the dads for the San Jose Sharks to Vegas. It was the dad's trip. We're all sitting there in line in back of house, and there's the dads right behind us waiting for the locker room to open to get in with the team and stuff. So the Golden Knights have now shut out the parents, if you will, 12-0 on their 2 games. And it's only November, so we got to look ahead and see how many more parents trips are happening. Because, I mean, someone said, I thought this was great. Aiden Hill hates hockey parents because Aiden Hill shut out, both of the parents. So there you go. Aiden Hill doesn't like hockey dads and moms because he keeps shutting them out.
Okay. The defensemen, Alec and Alex Pietrangelo.
That was fun.
They were a +9 combined. Is this what we're going to see in the future as everyone gets more healthier? Everyone's back in the lineup. They're at full strength when the defensemen can join the rush. Is this something that we're going to see more frequently?
Well, I'll tell you what we're not going to see. We're not going to see Alex Pietrangelo looking like friggin' Cale Makar out there in the slowest developing wraparound in the history of the NHL. We were up there in the media row, and me and Chris were talking about it on our Saturday pod, and it's like, what happened? And I guess, I don't know if the goalie got stuck in traffic, or maybe the goalie had F1 traffic going from left to right. The goalie got stuck in F1 traffic going left to right.
Why don't they have the great Zamboni race on that track?
That's pretty. They should do. They could have done anything else but played a hockey game on that track. But in all seriousness, with the defense and stuff like that, I mean, the Golden Knights are a rush team. Rushes start from the back. And what the Golden Knights did really well in that game against the Sharks is they got the puck, I would say not necessarily deep, but they got it like about halfway down, kind of like about the top of the circle. Maybe they worked their way in a little bit. And then they just got the puck back to the point. That's how Martinez scored. That's how Pietrangelo scored. So there was certainly something there in the game planning and scheming. I mean, young players in the NHL are going to do what 10-year-olds do. I know I didn't call the Sharks 10-year-olds, folks, so don't get at me for that. But they're going to do what 10-year-olds do in a house league, and they're all going to collapse on the puck when they get what's the word to use? When they panic, they're all going to collapse. Golden Knights, being a vet Stanley Cup winning championship team, know exactly what to do. And the Golden Knights, I don't know if they necessarily fell asleep in the second period of that game. I feel like I did, but me and my kid took a walk around T-Mobile, did our tour, didn't miss anything. So it was perfect. An immaculate game. There you go. An immaculate game. Not really, but whatever. You
also had Carlson, Howden, and Petro scoring. The Carlson goal, again, you have a defenseman who just flops. The league, it's all rigged. It's definitely rigged, Chris. It really is. No, that was a great pass from Eichel to Carlson. Shut up, Tony, already once in the week. And a shout out. I have to do this before we depart today. A nice shout out for our hometown UNLV football Rebels. Now in first place. Who would have thunk this? In first place in the Mountain West Conference. Yeah, thanks for that shot. Of course, they're playing at Air Force this Saturday, and Air Force played at Hawaii and lost. And then their airplane had mechanical difficulties. And last I heard, as of late last night,
the Air Force of the team Falcons had plane problems.
You should have a future mechanic on there.
I watched Air Force One last night. I don't know if that ties into this or not, but keep going.
No. So they were stuck still in Hawaii. So, Bill Foley he's doing his magic, I think, on the islands too, and helping to rig Saturday's game. Hopefully for UNLV. 2 games remaining.
They're looking for all seriously. They're looking like at a better. They're looking at a better bowl that's not going to be played like in the end of November, right? Like it's going to be.
It could be fun.
Okay,
it could be fun. I mean,
it could be the GoDaddy.com bowl or the Humanitarian Bowl. Like it's going to be okay.
They just stumbled at Fresno. We want that game back so bad around here. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we'll have a preview of VGK and Washington. And I'm sure we'll have a lot to recap from today's visit at the White House. And I hope that Phil Kessel got the invitation. I hope it did not get lost in the mail. And thank you as well. Just real, I'm doing shout outs today. Who cares? Thanks again for giving me a good tip there, because I was one autographed football short. Legacy Sports Cards. I have to give them a shout out because they
take care of you. They take care of you.
Everything was great. I paid double the amount that I thought I was going to pay.
You mentioned my name. That's why
I said Chris Golick. I want the Chris Golick special.
I get the check for that, so I get my bird dog. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone out there, and thanks for making us your first listen on Friday's WTF one. WTF one, we'll still do that. What the Friday one, Uno. People are stealing that WTF one, by the way. I want the credit, okay? If you're an Edmonton reporter, just quote me on that. And of course, YouTube, and then Saturdays, it's the Chris and Chris Show, the YouTube exclusive. We appreciate you all tuning in. We'll see you once again tomorrow right here for Chris Golick. I'm Tony Cardasco right here on Locked On Golden Knights.